AngelReese recently claimed she is one of the main reasons people watch women's basketball. However, many fans questioned that statement after every major network chose to nationally televise all 44 games featuring Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, while the Atlanta Dream received significantly fewer nationally televised games. The difference becomes even more noticeable when comparing attendance numbers. The Indiana Fever regularly sell out arenas with more than 17,000 fans, while the Atlanta Dream still play in a much smaller venue that holds around 3,500 people. Reports also suggest that Reese was unhappy about the situation and frustrated by the league's media focus on Clark and Indiana. Critics argue that television networks and advertisers are driven by ratings, ticket sales, and audience demand rather than personal opinions or emotions. As debates continue online, fans remain divided over Reese's comments and her role in the growing popularity of women's basketball. Let me know in the comments whether you think the criticism toward Reese is fair or not.
History has already been made. Before a game has been played, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever cementing their status as must-see TV. The cash cow, the money maker, the golden goose, the golden ticket, the savior of women's basketball.
No team in the history of the WNBA has ever had every regular season game broadcast on national television until now. The Indiana Fever have achieved that milestone before the 2026 season has even begun. All 44 of the Fever's games will air through major broadcasts and streaming partners, including ABC, ESPN, NBC, Peacock, CBS, Paramount Plus, USA Network, Prime Video, IWN, and NBA TV. This is not a case of one network selecting a few high-profile matchups or a streaming platform picking up less important games. Instead, 10 different media partners are competing for rights to the same team's schedule, something the league has never seen before. When that many companies are willing to invest in the same product, it sends a very clear message about the team's current value, popularity, and ability to attract viewers.
Do you know who recognizes that Caitlin Clark is the face, the end-all, be-all for this league? All of these television networks. You know why? All 44 of Caitlin Clark's games will be on national television this season. All 44, not 40, not 41, not 40, all 44 will be on national TV because the GOAT is the face. She's not a needle mover. She is the...
And the reason is not difficult to understand. Networks pay for viewership, plain and simple. Caitlin Clark returning from an injury-shortened 2025 season led every broadcast partner to reach the same conclusion. A healthy Clark leading the Indiana Fever offense is currently the safest and most valuable draw in women's basketball. Before her injury, Clark had already proven her impact on television ratings and fan engagement. Because of that, every network knew exactly what they were investing in when they competed for Fever games.
TV records again. All 44 games on national TV. Most national TV games in franchise history. Most national TV games for a single team in WNBA. All 44 games will be made available.
But Caitlin Clark did not just return healthy. She came back to a roster that is specifically built to maximize her strengths and make the Indiana Fever even more difficult to defend. Aaliyah Boston creates a strong presence in the paint, forcing defenders to collapse inside, and opening clear driving lanes for Clark on the perimeter. Kelsey Mitchell stretches defenses with her shooting ability, making opponents guard multiple scoring threats instead of focusing entirely on Clark. Meanwhile, Lexi Ho consistently takes on the opposing team's top perimeter scorer, allowing Clark to conserve energy and stay aggressive offensively. Off the bench, Sophie Cunningham adds toughness, hustle, and physicality, while helping the team maintain momentum during difficult stretches. As a result, every time Clark pushes a pace in transition or launches a deep three-pointer, she has reliable teammates around her who can capitalize on defensive mistakes. That balance makes Indiana's offense far more dangerous and much harder for opponents to prepare for.
In a way, it was a little bit of a mental break, but at the same time, injury is really mentally taxing as well. Like, people don't always realize that, especially when you're at the point of trying to come back and trying to get over the hump of, like, trusting your body. That's the hardest part, is like you've done everything you can, rehab wise, and to get back on the court, and then it's like the mental block of trusting your body and knowing you put the work in. So I feel like it's a little more mentally exhausting from that standpoint.
Advertisers don't simply buy games, they buy audiences. And the audience around Caitlin Clark is seen as particularly valuable because it aligns with the demographic sponsors are actively trying to reach the ASA result. The broadcast decisions around IndianaFever were driven less by win-loss expectations or playoff projections, and more by the consistent expectation that Clark's presence drives viewership. That level of certainty is a major reason every one of Indiana's 44 games has attracted national broadcast interest, something no team in the league has previously experienced. This means no Fever game is limited to local coverage. Every matchup, whether it's a road game in Seattle or Phoenix, a back-to-back stretch in late July, or a routine Tuesday night in August, receives national exposure. Situations that would normally draw little attention now get the same type of broadcast treatment typically reserved for high-stakes playoff games on major networks like ABC.
Everybody's getting paid more money. They got to figure out how they going to make some of this money back and all of that. And one way you can guarantee make a profit with these networks and turn over $1 is by putting Caitlin Clark in front of the camera on national TV as much as possible.
The international angle also plays a major role. The reach of platforms like Peacock and Amazon Prime Video means that games featuring Caitlin Clark are accessible well beyond the United States, expanding the overall value of any broadcast rights package far beyond a purely domestic audience. That global accessibility is one of the key reasons so many media partners invested in the IndianaFever schedule. When you look at the most televised teams heading into 2026, the Fever stand alone with 44 nationally broadcast games, while the next closest team trails by a significant margin. This level of coverage is not a coincidence or a scheduling quirk. It reflects a broader shift in broadcast strategy across the WNBA, where networks have aligned their programming heavily around one high-profile player returning to full health. The result is a complete reshaping of the media landscape around women's basketball, driven by viewership potential, commercial demand, and global accessibility, rather than traditional scheduling balance.
The takeover, the Caitlin Clark takeover is rocking and rolling.
The Dallas Wings have Paige Buchers along with Azzi Fudd, the number 1 overall pick, and even then they still could not surpass the IndianaFever in national television exposure. That puts into perspective how far down the list a team has to fall before it is no longer in the top tier coverage. The Fever lead with 44 nationally televised games. The Dallas Wings follow with 36, which is still notable given the excitement around Buchers and Fudd and the attention their partnership brings. The New York Liberty come in at 35, featuring a star-studded roster built around Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. The Las Vegas Aces are next at 33 games, despite being the defending champions led by MVP Aya Wilson. The Los Angeles Sparks round out the top 5 with 31 nationally televised games. Each of these teams plays in major markets or well-known venues capable of drawing large crowds and creating a kind of atmosphere that enhances the broadcast experience.
You look around the league, IndianaFever the most with 44, Wings 36, Liberty 35, Aces 33, Sparks 31. That seems pretty fair to me. In terms of interest, you got the Fever, okay, CC 22, say no more. You got the Wings, Paige Beckers, okay. Liberty 35, I think the Liberty has a bigger national audience than the Dallas Wings. I'd be willing to put a hefty sum of money on that. Liberty definitely have a bigger national audience than the Dallas Wings. You have the Aces with 33, the Sparks with...
The Atlanta Dream sit at 28 nationally televised games, placing them outside the top 5. AngelReese has spent the past 2 years stating that she is a major reason people are tuning into women's basketball. That creates a simple contradiction. Either that claim is overstated, or every major broadcast network has independently reached a very different conclusion. Networks are not known for missing opportunities when significant advertising revenue is involved. The difference becomes even more noticeable when considering arena size and atmosphere. The Dream play their home games at a venue in College Park, Georgia, with a capacity of around 3,500 fans. By contrast, the Las Vegas Aces play at Michelob Ultra Arena, the New York Liberty play in Brooklyn, and the IndianaFever play at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. For broadcasters, atmosphere is part of the product being sold to advertisers. A packed arena, loud crowd energy, and a sense of scale all contribute to how a game feels on television. A smaller 3,500-seat venue, regardless of crowd enthusiasm, cannot replicate that same visual and audio impact on a broadcast.
Gave the league a lot of money, you know damn well they're going to want their fair share of Caitlin Clark. They gave the league a lot of money, you know damn well they're going to want a fair share of CC22. Oh yeah, we got to get that back. We got to recoup that from...
Advertiser rates for sports broadcasts are partly influenced by the perceived prestige of what appears on screen. A half-filled college gym sends a very different signal to media buyers than a sold-out NBA-level arena. That perception can affect how aggressively networks are willing to bid for certain games. This is one reason the Atlanta Dream ended up with 28 nationally televised games, while the teams in the top 5 are typically playing in larger venues that resemble major professional sporting environments on television, both in scale and atmosphere.
Make no mistake about that. This is a business decision. We don't got time for all of y'all to be acting, but
the comparison between Dallas and Indiana is worth pausing on. Neither Dallas nor Indianapolis is a major media market like New York, Las Vegas, or Los Angeles. Yet both teams have players whose star power extends well beyond their local audiences, and networks are willing to pay for that reach. That is a major reason the IndianaFever sit at the top with 44 nationally televised games. Star power that resonates outside a home market is what ultimately drives these broadcast numbers. In contrast, AngelReese does not currently appear to generate the same level of national television demand. Even Io Wilson, an MVP and leader of the defending champion Las Vegas Aces, is still behind Indiana by 11 games. Meanwhile, the New York Liberty, built as a super team, are 9 games back. This suggests that the gap between Clark and the rest of the league is not simply about wins, roster strength, or market size. It exists as a separate category altogether, driven primarily by individual drawing power layered on top of team success.
Get told no. Like, you're going to get the yeses. You're going to get more yeses than nos, and just being able to know that. So I'm excited for that. I know that's going to come.
The Atlanta Dream sit at 28 nationally televised games, playing in a smaller 3,500-seat venue in a market that does not carry the same national weight as cities like New York or Las Vegas. The team is still in the process of defining its long-term identity, and perceptions around individual players' impact on viewership remain debated at the same time. AngelReese has generated significant attention and strong opinions about her influence on the league's popularity. However, team performance statistics provide a more objective picture. Over 2 seasons, her team's record has been 23 wins and 61 losses, with no playoff appearances during that span. These numbers represent a record of the Chicago Sky during her time on the roster, and they are often cited in discussions about performance versus perceived individual impact.
Once they drafted AngelReese, all of a sudden, the Bravado struggled to win games. And ESPN expects me to believe that the organization is the problem here? Either way, I don't think basketball had anything to do with why AngelReese was traded. I think AngelReese was traded because the Bravado thought that she was more trouble than she's worth.
The rebounding numbers were real. To be fair, AngelReese rebounded at a rate that placed her in all-star conversations and gave her a legitimate statistical case for value on the court. However, there is an important context to consider when evaluating those numbers. That a portion of offensive rebounds can come from missed shots by the same team, meaning a player can collect multiple boards within a single possession that does not necessarily translate into points or momentum. As a result, high rebound totals do not always reflect overall team success, especially in situations where scoring efficiency remains low. Year 2 is typically expected to show development for young players, improved chemistry, better decision-making, and stronger execution in close games. In this case, the Chicago Sky did not show the expected progression and instead regressed in overall performance. Over time, the front office reportedly evaluated the direction of the team and ultimately decided that a change in roster construction was necessary to reset the trajectory moving forward.
Contributions are all about making Reese look better, on the stat sheet, not making her teammates better. Having 2 first-round draft picks for the next 2 years, however, a franchise can go ahead and create a formidable starting squad if you play your cards right. But even more of a benefit is the fact that, according to some reports, Sky players are thrilled that Reese is gone, making it pretty obvious she was viewed as a locker room